Getting your A1C down isn't easy. If you've been stuck higher than you'd like to be, it can feel impossible to get it down. It can feel like the only way to get it down is by being perfect, which isn't realistic or even necessary. Instead, here are 3 things that you're probably doing that are sabotaging your effort to improve your A1C. If you focus on changing these 3 parts of your diabetes management, you can make a big difference in your A1C. Okay, here we go. Number 1, you're probably not getting enough basal background insulin. Your basal background insulin is what you get from a long-acting insulin injection or from the basal rate in your insulin pump. So you might think, well, no, I don't need more insulin. I'm already having low blood sugars all the time. But hear me out. Sometimes frequent low blood sugars can be a sign that you're not getting enough background insulin because you're taking more correction insulin for high blood sugars after eating. And that correction insulin dose is stacking on top of your meal dose, increasing your risk of lows. So even though you do need more insulin, you're getting it at the wrong time in the wrong amount because you're constantly taking correction insulin to compensate for the fact that you don't have enough basal background insulin in your system. When I find myself having to take a lot of correction insulin during the day, it tells me, okay, your mealtime insulin doses aren't covering it. That means I just need a little boost in my background insulin to help cover that baseline so that my mealtime insulin is more effective at covering my needs when I eat. Think about it this way. If you're taking a lot of correction doses of insulin, you're taking these big wallop doses, right? You're taking 1 unit or 2 units or 4 units all at once. Now imagine if you took that amount of insulin, but you spread it carefully in your basal rate. Now you're getting it the way your body might actually need it, which is spread throughout the day or over the course of several hours instead of all at once. If you talk to your healthcare team about making an increase in your basal background insulin dose, don't be surprised if you also need to reduce how much insulin you're taking for your meals. Your meal doses should be more effective at covering your blood sugar after you eat if you have enough basal insulin on board. If you're not taking insulin and you're struggling to get your A1C down as a person with type 2 diabetes or newly diagnosed type 1 diabetes, that's probably a sign that it's time to start insulin or start one of those newer medications like Mounjaro or Ozempic, which can, for some people, help bring A1C levels down without starting insulin. Problem number 2, your target blood sugar range is too high. Every A1C level translates to an average blood sugar level. Let's say you want your A1C to be down in the low 6s, but your average blood sugar, the blood sugar range that you're at most of the day, is in the 160 to 180 range. You're never gonna get an A1C of 6.0% if your average blood sugar is up here, because your A1C is the result of your blood sugar levels all day. For example, an A1C of 6.0% is an average blood sugar level of 126 milligrams per deciliter. An A1C of 6.5% is an average blood sugar level of 140. An A1C of 7% is an average blood sugar level of 158. An A1C of 7.5% is an average blood sugar level of 169. An 8% A1C is an average blood sugar level of 183. An A1C of 8.5% is an average blood sugar level of 197. So if you're spending a good chunk of your day around 197, you're never gonna get your A1C down. If you want an A1C in the low 6s, that means that most of your blood sugar levels need to kind of be between 100 to maybe 150 so that your average is 126. So you take that target blood sugar in the middle and you create a little window around it, and that is your goal. If your blood sugar is generally hanging out around 200 milligrams per deciliter, you are definitely not getting enough insulin. I would talk to your healthcare team about either increasing your background basal dose or working on the habits that improve your sensitivity to insulin. Watch this video to learn more about that. And then of course, the third option is to look at the medications that can help with insulin sensitivity, like metformin, Invokana, Jardiance, Ozempic, Mounjaro. Those medications can help you get your A1C down while you're working on the other details of diabetes management. Something else to consider when it comes to that target range is when you take action to correct a high blood sugar. If you often see your blood sugar at 180 and you don't take action to correct that blood sugar level, then your A1C is gonna stay up around 8%. When I was preparing for pregnancy, this was back when CGMs were just becoming relatively accessible. I wanted to get my A1C down to 6.0%. That meant that I needed to change my mindset about what I considered to be a high blood sugar. Before I had a CGM and before I was thinking about pregnancy, I wouldn't worry too much about spending a good chunk of the afternoon at 160. But if I want my A1C down at 6%, I can't spend a good chunk of my day up at 160. That's gonna lead to an A1C around 7%. So I had to start taking action to correct those high blood sugars, but also prevent them from getting that high in the first place. Trying to aim for a blood sugar level that is closer to normal non-diabetic range so that I had an A1C that was closer to normal non-diabetic range. Easier said than done, I know. But if you have set your sights on getting your A1C down, you have to take a closer look at what you have decided in your head is an acceptable blood sugar level to hang out at throughout the day. Number 3, your blood sugar might be too high while you're sleeping. If you break your entire day into 3 sections, you've got 8 hours of dawn and daylight, 8 hours of afternoon and evening, and then 8 hours of sleep. If you are spending most of your sleeping hours at a blood sugar level up here, and you want an A1C that requires a blood sugar level down here, those 8 hours are gonna have a big impact on your A1C. Imagine if you're spending most of every night high, which means then you're probably waking up high. That's 1/3 of your day that you're spending higher than your goal range. And that adds up. All your work during the day to keep your blood sugar lower can't undo those 8 hours of running high and the impact it has on your A1C. Now, getting your A1C lower while you're sleeping is easier said than done because of safety and quality of sleep. Nobody likes waking up in the middle of the night to treat low blood sugars. There's no better way to ruin your sleep and feel exhausted the next day. But even a little improvement in your blood sugar levels while you sleep can have a big impact on your A1C. If you're currently sitting in the 200s all night long, working with your healthcare team to spend the night around 150 can have a huge impact on your A1C without increasing your risk of low blood sugars too much. If you're not currently using a CGM, getting a CGM is probably the most helpful thing you could do to improve your A1C. Look, improving your A1C is not easy by any means, but you don't have to be perfect in order to get it to come down. Instead, it can start with just a few simple little changes in how you think about your blood sugars, how you're dosing insulin, and just focusing on one part of the day at a time, like while you're sleeping. You don't have to focus on the whole day at once. Choose one part of the day. Once you feel like you've improved your blood sugars there, maybe you could then move to the next 8-hour chunk of morning and the first part of the day. When you're feeling good about your blood sugars there, move to that next 8-hour chunk of afternoon and evening. You don't have to be perfect to see an improvement. Bit by bit, just work at it. Thanks for watching Diabetes Nerd. Find my books on Amazon. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment.